How's it going, my fellow Titans? Today, we're going to be going over a Void 3.0 build where you can spam your barricade every 5 seconds and constantly have an overshield for both you and your allies. So, without further ado,
let's talk about it!
So, first we're going to be going over the build, and then we'll get into the gameplay section in just a little bit. Now, we're going to be going over the armor mods first, starting off, of course, with the helmet armor mods. Now, starting off, of course, you do want to make sure that you have elemental well mods, as elemental wells are going to be the main basis for this entire build. Starting off with Well of Utility, where picking up a Void Elemental Well grants you additional class ability energy. You could stack multiple versions of this mod to increase its effect, however, most of the time that will not be necessary. Moving on to the arms, our next elemental well mod is going to be Reaping Wellmaker, where activating your class ability, your next weapon final blow on combatant spawns a void elemental well. And of course, if you are not running content such as GMs or raids, for example, where you do not need to run a champion mod such as Unstop Barrier or Overload, I would recommend running the Bolstering Detonation armor mod, where once you deal damage with a grenade, it grants even more class ability energy. And of course, the centerpiece for this entire build is, of course, going to be the exotic chest piece, Heart of Inmost Light, where using your abilities empowers the other two abilities, granting them increased recharge time. And then following up with that, we also have the elemental well mod, Well of Tenacity, where once you pick up a void elemental well, it reduces the damage you take from combatants for a short period of time. Think, for example, Death of Light, but it's a better version where you work with elemental well mods. The boots are a little bit trickier to work with, however, you do have multiple variations you can work with. For this build in particular, I am running the Volatile Flow Seasonal mod, where picking up a Void Elemental Well grants your Void weapons volatile rounds. However, once this mod goes away at the end of the season, I will probably swap it out for Bountiful Wells, where Elemental Well mods that cause you to spawn Elemental Wells can now stack, spawning additional wells for each additional copy of the mod you have equipped. And then lastly, for our Titan mark, we are going to be running the Stasis Energy slot, and we are going to be using the Utility Kickstart class item armor mods, where once you use your class ability, then you gain increased class ability energy. And I run 2 of those in particular to give you even more class ability. And then for our Elemental Well mod, I am running Elemental Ordnance, where defeating a combatant with a grenade spawns an Elemental Well that matches your subclass energy type. Then moving on to the Sentinel subclass itself, we're going to be taking a look at the aspects and the fragments. Now, of course, the aspects should go without saying. Bastion is going to be our first and foremost choice, as every time we get we use a barricade, we get an overshield with it. And then I am also going to be running Controlled Demolition, where hitting a target with a void ability or volatile explosion makes them volatile. Further damage to a volatile target causes them to explode, and then once you kill them and they explode, you gain health for both you and your allies. Think of it as like Devour, for example. Then for our fragments, I use the Echo of Remnants, where your lingering grenade effects, such as Vortex grenades, which is the grenade that I use the most in particular, have increased duration. Echo of Instability, defeating targets with grenades grants volatile rounds to your void weapons. So when the seasonal mod Volatile Flow goes away, you can use this mod and also have volatile rounds for your weapons once that goes away. And then our last one, Echo of Leeching, could be subbed out, but I do enjoy this mod, this fragment in particular, where melee final blows start health regeneration for both you and your allies. Plus, it also gives you extra resilience, so that way you get your your barricades back even faster. However, if you don't run that as well, I would also recommend running the Echo of Persistence fragment, where void buffs applied to you, such as Overshield, have increased duration, but at the cost of -10 resilience. Either or is still a perfectly fine choice. I do not run Devour with this build because essentially you're always going to be making your enemies volatile, and therefore once they explode, you will have increased health regeneration and gain all your health back from the Controlled Demolition aspect. So Devour is not really necessary for this build. So overall, the entire point of this build is, like I said, is just to constantly spam your rally or tower barricades. I, in particular, like running rally barricades, as rally barricades give you all the increased effects, such as increased weapon range, reload speed, yada yada yada. And of course, as you can see from the gameplay that I'm not going to put up on screen, this is what it looks like when you have all these mods running at the same time. And as you saw from the gameplay, it's just absolutely mayhem throughout the entire run. As you can see from the Shiro Chi, we are constantly exploding all of our enemies. We are constantly gaining overshields back. Our rally barricade is always there, almost all the ways. It's just a super insane build I use for all contents. Of course, obviously, when I run raids or GMs, for example, where the champions are included, I will have to make some adjustments here and there. But for the most part, my mods do not change as far as my elemental well mods. This is arguably one of the strongest builds for Void in my personal opinion, at least for the Titan subclass. There are, of course, multiple iterations that you could run for Titans, but in particular, I like to spam overshields left and right. It's good for both you and your allies, but again, there are other iterations you could work with. But in this particular, this is, in my opinion, the most defensive build you can make for the Titan subclass using Void 3.0. I didn't even mention, of course, that you also have Bubble in the background as a back, as well as because Bubble has the fastest charge time for supers in the entire game. And that's it. That's all I got for you guys today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys on the next one.